Well, as you look into your bulletin or schedule, I'm not Tim Baird. And I'm looking for Tim Baird's testimony that I was told would be on this podium, and I can't find it anywhere. So, Dr. Ward, I appreciate that. For the next 4 minutes, you're going to have to put up with me. 12 years old, I am in the Beaver Falls Hospital. During football season, running around the field, couldn't finish a lap, couldn't do this, couldn't do that, and you're thinking, well, that's probably normal. No, it wasn't. In fact, as the doctors came in and ran test after test, they finally determined that the pre-diagnosis, if there is such a thing, was something called leukemia. And at that time, I was laying in that bed wondering at 12 years old what this all meant. Had a pastor that stopped in, and at that time our pastor was from our church, who just gave me one word that just said, Jesus is never going to leave you, and he's never going to forsake you. And when they did that bone marrow test, it wasn't a very pleasant thing. Thank the Lord, they never found out what it was, and within 6 months I was back running around. I want to flash ahead to 1979. Some of you can't even imagine what 1979 looked like back then, but somewhere in the library, underneath the dust, I'm sure you can find some books that will tell you about the dark ages back then. In 1979, I'm sitting in a dorm at a college where I had definitely selected based on all the things that you would want to pursue. In fact, this incredible, relentless perfection that I was trying to achieve was just something that was just all based on what I wanted. Had no idea that in this entire process that God was relentlessly pursuing me. And you may be sitting there today thinking, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. Even when you don't know what that looks like, he's pursuing you. So students, what I'm saying is I was at a college that I had checked all the boxes in high school that met everything that I wanted to go to. Everything. But one thing that I did not expect is what I heard in the classroom. I had taken a religion class at this very prestigious liberal arts college somewhere in Ohio that had an incredible football program. But taking the religion class, I was really struck by the fact that the department chair said, well, when we look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, it's two separate books. There's no connection between the two. Anybody that does that is violating the true idea of what the Old Testament and the New Testament's about. I had to run. It wasn't necessarily the bad decisions I was making on the weekend. It had all to do with what was being poured into me during the week. I couldn't do this. I couldn't sit and undertake this. I knew that there was a college called Geneva, a school that I'd visited, but it was never going to happen here. Again, God will pursue you. God is pursuing you. Found myself in my dorm room thinking I've got all these things that from a standpoint of my pursuit, check off these boxes. Sat in that dorm room and just said, Lord, I gotta leave. And I came to Geneva College, not because of the football program, not because of the baseball program, not because it was home. I came to Geneva College because I knew that in a classroom that I was going to be taught the Word of God in every discipline. That was something that I really didn't understand. Some of you students don't understand today the integration of faith and learning. It is something that will become part of you. It will something that will remain part of you. In your walk with the Lord, you will see it. It will become more passionate to you as you get older. Right now, you just want to get through this and make sure that the bald guy's done in 3.5 minutes. I came to Geneva College, and I'm going to tell you that first semester, everything was great. How many of you know when you commit your life to the Lord, everything's great? in some ways. How many of you know that the Christian walk is something that is filled with what Dr. Ward prayed about, trials and tribulations? You don't need to put your hands up for that. I'm sure some of you are understanding that right now very clearly. First semester here at Geneva was not one that I would say was fun. I had to sit out playing football. I took some classes I didn't do particularly well in. But one thing happened that changed my entire life. I never knew that there was a college that could prepare me for what I was called to do, and that calling was something that I actually was gifted in because of the Lord. That college would be able to speak into my life through professors and people in student development and coaches that would be with me till this day. I'm not here to give an advertisement for Geneva College. I'm here to tell you that God pursued me as I was trying to pursue all of these things. I was not a very good student in college, in high school. I had a lot of fun, and my junior high guidance counselor told me, don't think about going to college. You're going to be working in the mill like everyone else. I got to tell you, the men that worked in the mill were very tough. They were very tough, and they supplied things for their family. But I had this idea that I wanted to go to college. And he basically was just telling me something because during those years, I had other things to do that were priority number one. Like having fun, playing football, having fun, playing football. Come to Geneva College, and I had a professor that talked with me after class. Not only one, but two. No, wait, there was three. Now I'm surrounded by these people that won't let me go. They won't let me just be somebody that in my mind I had no idea that God could transform a life. Speed along and say that this guy in front of you whose GPA and SAT is probably lower than 80% of the people in this room graduated from Geneva College with 3 degrees, playing 2 sports, and now having an opportunity to work at a very prestigious government agency in Washington, D.C., where they give you a lie detector and you walk across a marble floor with an eagle and a bunch of arrows. Very difficult telling the CIA that, no, I'm not going to take this job because I'm going to go to Atlanta to coach football. I was afraid of the traffic in Washington, D.C., and with what they were going to pay me at the CIA, I laughed. So I went to Atlanta, Georgia, where there was a Christian coach named Bill Curry. The traffic in Atlanta was worse than the traffic in Washington, D.C., and when I found out what they were paying us as graduate assistants at Georgia Tech, it was much less than what I'd been paid by the federal government. I went to Georgia Tech for an MBA. I considered myself an intelligent person after graduating from Geneva. It wasn't until the second semester that I found out that Georgia Tech didn't even offer an MBA. I was basically there to coach football. Found a job through a Geneva grad at WVU. West Virginia University in Morgantown is a special place. Had an opportunity to work for 2 Hall of Fame coaches, and Coach Sullivan, who mentored me, would be the third. I'm saying all this because it all leads to this. After that MBA and after 210 credit hours, I was still looking at, okay, what do I want to do? And God continues to pursue me. I was hired for a Fortune 100 company. Had really no idea what pharmaceutical sales was. At that time, it was pretty prestigious. It was the thing to do, so why not pursue it? Got into pharmaceutical sales, and one of the things that I loved about it was I was hired by somebody who knew many Geneva alums, and I actually worked for a Geneva alum. Had an opportunity to coach at Geneva College under Coach Sellerman as a volunteer. I had the best of both worlds. I was making money and I was coaching football. Had no idea that one day in 1993 because of a woman that is sitting right there holding my granddaughter. But between her, the president at that time of Geneva, my dad, and Coach Sullivan, that they asked me if I'd consider this. It's been 30 years. What Dr. Ward prayed is life. I continually pursue things in my own idea that will create some sort of perfection or satisfaction, while God continues to pursue me and refining me to understand what the love of Christ is all about. That decision to come back to Geneva College led to 10 of my family members coming here. My daughters have married men that graduated from Geneva College, 4 daughters. I'm telling you, students, God has a plan. Even when you think you have a plan, God's going to pursue you. I'm looking back now at 30 years, 35 years. Some of the people that were at Geneva at that time wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen about the gospel, at least in my mind. At times, I struggled. I'm seeing those same men now have a relationship with Christ. I believe those seeds were planted here at Geneva College. I'm telling you, in your pursuit for what you think is going to be the perfect thing, I want to let you know that God will continue to pursue you until he has you in the palm of his hand, and you will experience the love of Christ like you cannot imagine. Thank you.